Bonjour.
Good afternoon. The new generation worldwide, both private and public, will put us in front of our responsibility so as to share common preserved heritage, so as to pass on the torch, as said the minister. We must renew the way, we must promote this and raise the awareness for this heritage. The time to look down, to have a look-down approach where specialists provides its audience, the passive audience, with his thought and insight is now over. So thanks to the new usages, the recipients and the audiences now are the heart of the thoughts in an ever-changing world, and well, the image is prevailing. How can we actually seize the interest of the new audiences and respond to the desires of commitment and nourish their imagination? Things have changed, the wind has changed, and therefore the different stakeholders must share and promote histories and the heritage and legacy differently, and different initiatives are flourishing so as to provide and further an inclusive approach, proposing high-tech but also low-tech approaches that will lead to the engagement of the people. That is the case of the immersive Rochelle exhibition, which has been launched recently, so has to promote the heritage and to raise the awareness of the citizens. But we also want to involve the different writers, such as David Volk, the photographer, and Mr. Wolf, who works one with the Ifremer and one with the Oceanopolis. And you can see their work here at the Capucin in Brest. So we can also use escape gates, comics. Of course, books are a great way to share ideas, thoughts and insights in order to share and think about those challenges. It is my pleasure to be with three guests. João Facado, first of all, who's director of the Ocean Mercado of Lisbon in Portugal, a member also of the Foundation of Haute-Churchill and of the Aquarium, Olivier Chabaudot, who is a producer and founder of The Explorer, whose mission is to provide a list and inventory of both natural and human assets of the planet, which has been awarded an award recently, and it is the biggest dedicated to the inventory of the planet. And then Mr. Canadian, director of the Albert Ier Museum, celebrating the 100th anniversary of its founder, working also with the Maison de la Mer in Paris. He was also an advisor to different local governments. Joe Fagadi, you are having 1.4 million visitors per year. What is the most important challenge in terms of education and passing on, really, the information and raising the awareness about all this?
I believe maybe speaking from here, your heads can come a little bit higher and help you not to keep awake. Well, I would say that we all know, probably in this conference, and I'm sure in this room, that oceans today are in not a very good situation. We all know the threats are huge, the situation is not very nice. But if we think, if the general population is aware of that, I think there is a huge gap between reality, between what experts know and what the general population knows. And this huge gap may be a challenge for us. I think it is a challenge. We really need the big population, the people on the street, to be aware of reality. If we are to achieve the changes, the new regulations we will need to implement today and to implement tomorrow as well. So we really believe in Oceanário and Fundação Oceano Azul that we need to work towards creating a blue generation, a different generation, a generation of people that are aware of many more things that today they don't, relating to the ocean, relating to the heritage and everything that has to do with the sea. How to achieve that is a challenge. And I'm sure all of us have some ideas about it, how to achieve it. But we really already have some very powerful tools in place. I don't have the numbers for the maritime museums, but if we look at the aquariums, I don't have them for the world, but I have them for Europe, 10% of the European population visits one aquarium every year. It's more than 70 million people visiting our institutions every year. And we have their attention for 1.5 to 2 hours. They, on top of it, they believe we are the most trusted source of information about the oceans. Studies say that. So it's very powerful. We can do the difference if we all align the messages that we should share, the changes that we need to promote. On top of that, we also have very powerful educational programs. I don't have general numbers, I only have for our institution, but Oceanário Lisboa in 2019, before COVID, reached in its educational program more than 210,000 children in 1 year. This is, our biggest stadium is 55,000 people, so it's, imagine 3 full football stadiums full of children. That's the amount of children we give classes to every year. With these guys, we can go a lot deeper in the process of teaching them our mission of ocean conservation, of what we need to change. But at the same time, we don't believe this is enough. We always think we need more people coming to us, we need more people to be touched, but the reality is this is a touch and leave experience. This, what we're doing is very important, but it's inspirational. We touch them and we leave them. And we hope for the best. In 2 years they will be back and I have 2 hours more. You don't change a generation. You don't change a culture like this. Really, on top of content, it's like a football player again, sorry, but I'm from Portugal. You need, on top of content, you need frequency. You really need, if you want to change a culture, if you want to change people's behaviors, to be with them every single day. Or it won't be a cultural thing. It will be an experience. Some people will be inspired and they will change their lives, but most of them won't. So what did we think in relation to achieving this in Fundação Oceano Azul, that now we have a pilot project going on? We created 8 themes going through the curriculum of the first 4 years of classes, from 5 to 8-year-olds. And we created 8 themes that can be incorporated in the curriculum of the school. So you can read through the ocean, you can learn who belongs to the ocean to. We went to the children and we asked them, what do you want to know about the oceans? A big inquiry. And then we created this content that it's very easy to supplement what the teachers have to give in classes. And we didn't go to the children. We went to the teachers and trained them all with amazing materials and with amazing content that can apply and make their own classes much more interesting, including oceans in it. We are now 3 years down the road. The studies we are doing, evaluating the results, are very impressive. And this will probably be a model we will need to expand. Obviously, having ocean in the official curriculum is what we believe could really make the change. And it's not very difficult. If we had something like the European Union giving guidelines on how that could happen to be implemented in schools, it would be so easy to reach everybody very quickly and really make change happen. So this is what we believe, some of the ways we can reach. But again, we have to reach all the different targets that we never reach. Teenagers, it's a completely different challenge. How do you talk with teenagers, how to you always have to think what's their interests. So what we have been trying with teenagers, it's what we call our ocean leaders. So instead of Oceanario going to them, an Oceanario is an aquarium, it's very good for 12, 13 years old. You reach 16, boring. They will come back with the girlfriends or with the wives, but for teenagers, it's very difficult to reach. So who do they listen to? Who are their heroes? We need to have them with us. So who we have now working with us is Joanna Schenker. She was the world bodyboard champion, and we have Kikas, the world surf championship number 10 last year, Portuguese as well. And he's going to the schools for us. If Kikas is speaking to a 16-year-old, it's his idol, talking about his adventure in the ocean, talking about how relevant, how important it is to keep the media, teenagers. All of these need to be touched, and we need to find new ways to try to reach them. I would finish by saying, in Oceanario, we really don't believe today, in the world we live in, we can reach people only through facts and information. It's much more about emotions. It's much more about what I feel, about what makes me change. I don't change normally for information. I change for an emotion. And we really believe as well that it needs to be a positive emotion. I always say, if Martin Luther King had said, I have a nightmare, he would have changed nothing. He changed because he said, I have a dream. So I think we all should have a common dream of creating a blue generation. Each one of us find its own way to try and contribute that. And if we all do that, I think we may risk to have success. Thank you very much.
Merci, Joao.
Thank you, well, Olivier Chabaudot. With the Explorer, you want to better protect and better promote. We're promoting a high-quality picture. So UNESCO is one of the partners of this platform, and how does it respond to the new usage of the new generations? Thank you very much, Laurence, for asking these questions. We've got a common axis and challenge. We do want to change things and raise awareness so as to protect the planet and the oceans. I'm using another vector, which is the technology of the pictures, moving pictures or still pictures. Everybody's got a smartphone now in their pockets, even for people in South America, in India, in Africa. Everybody's got a smartphone in their pockets. People in Papua New Guinea do have smartphones, even though they're not always connected, but they have it. So I'm working with private investors so as to do an inventory, both for the human side of things, but also the cultural heritage side of things. The idea being, we do want to have a digital art of the cultural heritage of our planet. So we've got a digital catalog featuring submarine footage, land footage, and we do meet the local people, the local scientists, who tell us about their nature, their environment. The local people or personalities do tell us about their vision of their nature. We started with French Polynesia, and we traveled from the Marquesia to the south of the Austral Islands. It is amazing that they talk so much better than we do about their nature, their local territory. So we've done that inventory. We continue to do so since the planet is huge, and the ambition for the Explorer by 2030 is to work within 195 countries. So we shall work in the 55 countries of the African Union. So we've developed a platform. Everybody does know now Netflix. It is the most well-known platform. At the time being, we're featuring 17 versions in 17 different languages, and of course with a specific theme dedicated to oceans, which will allow to show to the wider audience the beauty of the nature, the beauty of the heritage that one must know well, so as to protect well the platform. So we've launched a platform that can be actually accessed on everybody's smartphones, TV, or any other digital devices. And the interest of all that is to use on a platform two functions. First of all, you can just watch movies, documentaries of 50 to 40 or 25 minutes, but also to take part in conversations, discussions. And I think that the director of the Museum of Maritime Museum of England told us we must connect people and connect artifacts and the heritage to the people. That it is true, everybody on our platform can do that. Set up an account and link to other people, so we can educate the people and the wider audience, whether that is here in Europe but also elsewhere, here in Brittany, of course. And we want to make an inventory of our heritage. Of course, we are living and present on our planet only for a couple of decades, and we shall provide a legacy, a testimony, an heritage for the future generation, thanks to this in particular, as a free messaging systems that people can use to have, fortunately, a fruitful dialogue, whether those people are within the southern or northern hemispheres of the globe. So I'm using the principle that Mr. Calcagno, thanks to the beauty of this world, thanks to an immersive experience, thanks to all that, we raise the awareness of the young people to what is at stake here for our planet. Technology and digital technology is helping us today and allow us to connect and engage with a wider audience at the global level. We would like very much all museums to be free and accessible to all, but one must find an economic rationale. So we want to be as free as possible for the wider audience as possible, because people advertising also need a wide audience so as to sell their ads. So we prefer to ask manufacturers and advertisers to pay so as to have this platform and to make it as free as possible for the users. Of course, you have heard about the metaverse, and we're thinking about this very seriously. We do not want mixed the wheat from the shaft, really, and we are at the very start of this notion. Let me come back to Polynesia, which is great with French Polynesia, and I guess what the minister would like to do. Those of you who do know French Polynesia, well, the young people living there enjoy a great nature, a great natural experience every day. They do not need any virtual experiences because they do live actually in an outstanding environment all the time. So as to conclude, we chose digital technologies to pass on that message, i.e. Oceans are great, or huge potential for the future of the next generation. Of course, we work with ships, vessels at sea, but we use digital technologies to raise the awareness to a wider audience. Of course, you're welcome to download our app on your smartphone and become an explorer yourself.
Exactement.
Yes.
Faire aimer, connaître et protéger le
So, knowing, promoting, the oceans and make the oceans become appealing. That is the roadmap of the Oceanographic Museum of Monaco. What are the most relevant programs and objectives for you? I think you're providing the visitors with different experiences, both digital and on-site experiencing. Yes, that is true. Thank you, Joao. Thank you. I think it is very interesting. I've learned a lot by listening to you. I would like to repeat what Mr. Champredon, the General Director of the Maritime Museum, told us previously. The past is clear and provides some depth to the present time, which sheds a light on the future. I think that message is indeed important, and the Oceanographic Museum is less old than the National Museum of the Maritime History. But having said that, we are proud of our 100 years of history, and I would like to talk for 1 minute, if I may, about the past and our history. And I will read this paper. I'm always surprised to read the first paper pertaining to the article of the Oceans Museum founded by the Albert Ier, who was the grandfather of His Royal Majesty, the Prince of Monaco, and we are celebrating the 100th anniversary of his death. So what is the first article? The Oceanographic Institute objective is to promote and to raise awareness about the oceans and to make so that everybody is aware of their weaknesses, their fragile nature, and the sustainable use of resources. These are the terms used in a speech that he made during the Academy of Sciences in the United States of America. So this museum was set up in 1910, more than 100 years ago, and he did so to show to the wider public his collections. And he explored areas in the Arctic regions, and he brought back animals conserved in alcohol, preserved in alcohol, and lots of different things, artifacts. And he just wanted to show it to the people. So he just wanted to make an exhibition, really. And very quickly, we had more than 100,000 visitors. And then the First World War, Second World War came. And the number of visitors decreased during that period of time. But in the 60s, 70s, Commandant, you may have heard of Jacques-Yves Cousteau, and Commandant Jacques-Yves Cousteau realized that people had to dream and people had to be provided with footages, moving pictures and still pictures, of course, of the world under the seas. So really, he brought that life that exists under the seas and on seas to the widest possible audience, thanks to his TV broadcast. And Jacques-Yves Cousteau left the museum and he died, and we used different formula, and we saw that we had less visitors once again. So in 2006 and 2007, the Prince Albert II of Monaco wanted to do better, really. So for a while, we requested Jean-Loup Etienne, who is there with us at the One Ocean Summit, to provide us with his strategic vision. So we listened to Jean-François Sarado, who has just arrived, and who known very well, Mr. Cousteau and Prince Alberto, asked us to do something about this, to have more visitors. And we looked for the new generation. We wanted other means to communicate, to raise the awareness, to talk to the people. So we used different types of exhibitions, of different ways of showing the objects and our collection. So right now, at the International Festival of the Oceans, is presented Alick and Albert. So you may know who Albert is, but Alix Tipoti is an artist of the Strait of Torres. That's in Australia, between Australia and New Guinea. And we invited Alick Tipoti to present his work, and what is interesting, and that the Prince and myself visited him on the small island of Badou, and there film director made a small movie on the basis of our visit, and that movie is being presented in Tahiti right now. But our visitors want a comprehensive approach, an holistic approach. Something we were not really into was artworks, and we worked on this very soon. We shall have traditional painters from the Northern Sea with people like Howers, Munch. So we invited modern art to enter our Oceanographic Museum in 2010. We wanted to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the museum, and we wanted really to do something different. So we invited Damien Earth, who is a very well-known and controversial modern artist, to do an exhibition. Of course, that led to lots of controversies. What on earth is he there, and why is he coming? But that was actually useful to make the museum appealing once again, because so we continued with that. We had Mark Kwan, Mark Yan, Yang Won Pin. We invited dozens of Chinese artists to express themselves about the collecting of shark fins. So, of course, the consumption of shark fins has been divided by 5 in China. We are not the only one to do something about this, but I guess we had some consequences. So, really want to have a holistic, comprehensive approach. Young people want to be involved, so we put in place games in our museum. You can come only to play if you want to play a game. There's a great escape game, so you are trapped into the goélette Jean-Pierre Premier, the engine breaks down, and then you need to act, you need to find the different solutions so as to escape. It is very successful. All this is really successful. So I shall finish by talking about the future. This is more difficult, but I paid a visit to Joao Falcoa in Lisbon 7 or 8 years ago, and he explained his vision, his program for the young people, but with his authorization, I just I copied what he had planned and what he did. So since that time, we have developed a program for the young people. It's, we called it Ocean for Youngsters. So, for instance, we use these big immersive rooms. In 600 square meters, you're really in the great coral reef barrier. So, of course, you can see all these fishes. You can interact with different species. Very soon, we shall use the same program to take our visitors into the polar world. And we are smaller than the Lisbon Museum. We maybe our area of interest for the people is roughly 1 to 2 million people, so that's less people than in the Lisbon area. Thanks to the digital technologies, we have developed a series of educational tools using digital communication, our Zoom meeting, for instance. And Joa, you said it. Something is very important, and that is that we can go and meet young people, but we do need to have somebody on site. So we are working with the national education network, both in France and in Italy. We're working especially with the Rennes Academy here in Brittany. They help us to identify teachers who want to explain the oceans to their pupils, to their students. Teachers who are interested in taking part, but who do not have the know-how so far. And we can, of course, explain those teachers how to gain this know-how. So we're helping them. So we provide virtual, remote classrooms. We've got staff of the Oceanographic Museum who work with the teachers, who talk to the classroom pupils, both in primary and secondary schools. And we want to have 5 more times pupils or students to attend those classroom sessions. And we want to work at the global levels. We work with young people living in deprived area or poor area who cannot actually visit the Museum of Monaco. So we really want to have a program for all, really. And we are just like you. We do know that these young people suffer from disabilities or poor. We do need to pay our staff as well, so we need to work with foundations such as the Rothschild or Total foundations, which help us to promote and further those educational programs. How can we talk and raise the awareness of the teenagers? They are beginning to be interested about the future, so we are working on the ocean carrier. We've got a forum for the works that can be done at sea. So we are promoting now the digital solutions. We've got the people on site working with us. So these few possible pathways for the futures, and I think I've exceeded the time was allocated. Thank you.
Je vous remercie tous les trois pour
Thank you, 3 of you, for sharing the initiatives, for inventing and reinventing the heritage and making the heritage alive again and again. I'm taking part to the emergence of blue generations thanks to the training of the trainers or the teachers using iconic heroes, using the beauty of the heritage in our smartphones, using the artworks and new practices in our museums. Maybe a last question of the final word for each of you. If you had a wish or a message for a future visitor who has not come yet to the museum of Monaco, what would you say?
La motivation.
What would you say?
Well, I would say from what you hear here and from what we have heard from the past presentations, storytelling is hugely important. We really have to have a story to tell people, and we all have to innovate. If we look at the capacities that are in this room to do things differently and then share what we have done, not only what worked, but most importantly, what did not work for the others not to repeat it, I think it will make our lives and our objectives and our missions much easier to achieve. And I think that's the great opportunity we all have, is to share our experiences and try to be a little bit more knowledgeable by acquiring those. And that would be my final message. Let's share and move together forward.
Alors moi, je suis entièrement d'accord sur le storytelling.
I totally agree about storytelling. I do think people want to be taken away, taken along with something. We've got this exhibition goes through the world, which goes through. People want to have news of an expedition. What are they doing? Where's the expedition got to? How are they? And all that. And I think that young generations today, they've become aware.
Jeunes que nous,
Perhaps since at a younger age now, I mean, than we are now. I mean, you're younger than I am, but still, never mind. I mean, let's not go into that. But they are the ones who are going to make things move on. And I think they really want to be players in the field. And we said that SKB didn't work at all because people want to be in a tempest, in a storm. They want to be part of the scenario. And I think this young generation is going to speed up things. And we've got to show them the path, but they're going to be the ones that speed along it.
Le mot de la fin pour Robert.
Robert, yes, I quite agree with you. I think that the dream, perhaps the dream, this word has been used already. I mean, come along and dream with us. Of course, you have to learn. You've got to be reasonable. You've got to be dispassionate, but enjoy it. Come and talk about Wales with François Sarano. Come along with us to join and come and see the museum.